Hey there, I'm Jim
And I'm Matt.
I'm Dusty,
from Dad's Doing Nerd Shit.
a podcast on the Fandom Limb Media Network.
We talk about all kinds of nerdy stuff.
From Dungeons and Dragons to the MCU.
From video games to semi-current space news.
And anything else that catches our attention.
New episodes go live every Monday morning on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We can also be found on Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter.
So roll the dice and join us as we discuss the things we love and the culture around being a nerd.
We're going to need a bigger boat. Universal Pictures producers Richard D. Zanuck and David Brown had each heard about author Peter Benchley's upcoming novel, Jaws. Acquiring copies of the manuscript before publication, Zanuck and Brown both read the story in one night and agreed that it was one of the most thrilling stories they'd ever read. Having immediately bought the rights to the book for $175,000, they began the search for a director who could successfully bring the complicated sea-bound story to life. After a lengthy search, a 26-year-old who had just finished directing his first theatrical feature film called The Sugarland Express for Zanuck and Brown presented himself to the producers as someone who was very interested in the job. His name was Steven Spielberg. He noted the similarities between this story and the plot of a TV movie he directed called Duel, about an 18-wheeler that terrorizes a man by chasing him down the highway relentlessly. Spielberg officially signed on to direct in June 1973, and principal photography began in May of 1974. Shot mostly on the island of Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts, the production was plagued from beginning to end with setbacks from the mechanical sharks not working properly to weather issues and everything in between. The shoot finally wrapped in October of 1974, taking 159 days in total. Thinking of himself as something of a failure, Spielberg couldn't even bring himself to show up for the last day of filming because he thought for sure that the crew were going to toss him into the ocean upon finishing. However, Jaws was released on June 20th, 1975, and literally redefined how blockbuster movies were to be released from then on. It was a massive hit, to say the least, and quickly became the highest-grossing movie of all time. Jaws went on to win 3 Academy Awards for Best Editing, Best Sound, and Best Score, which was composed by John Williams and has since become one of the most iconic pieces of music ever put to screen. The legacy of Jaws has not only changed the way movies are released, but has also established the timing of movie releases, cementing the summer season as the prime season for blockbuster releases. This film also spawned 3 sequels, solidifying Jaws as a franchise of films. But what did we think of this movie? Put on your short shorts, lock yourself inside your giant metal shark cage, and chuck as much chum into the ocean as you can, because we're about to chow down on some of this shit as we break down this classic film. Join me, Matt McGregor, along with my co-hosts Harris McCabe and Colin Shaw, as we drunkenly toast to swimming with bow-legged women and dive deep into the first film in the Jaws franchise of films. This is 1975's Steven Spielberg classic, Jaws. This is a show about franchises, Shark Attack franchises. You're listening to License to Watch.
Why in the world was this movie made?
Much clearer than my picture because I can actually see titties in this.
Dude, this is 4K.
It seemed like just a silhouette in a lot of what I was watching, but
This is 4K, but I don't think this monitor is actually 4K, so it's like upscaling it or something. But yes, you can see titties.
doing a nice job of upscaling it.
What did I watch? A video today of these everybody now, all these people like today.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
And she's in bad shape.
Oh no.
Still alive. A lot of these people are dead.
You know, she broke her ribs on the rig that they were pulling her around on to make it look like a shark was killing her.
Really?
In the scene. Also, here's my biggest question about this scene. What time of day is it? Because it was pitch black when they were by the bonfire. You can clearly see the sun shining directly through the water there.
Oh yeah, they shot.
They're
this
shooting.
scene.
They're shooting day for night in anything where you can't see the horizon, like all the shots of above.
I think that's supposed to be moonlight, no?
That's supposed to be moonlight.
This is supposed to be moonlight, but this is clearly day for night. They're just desaturating it and like.
How early you
yeah.
think? How early you think they shot this? Or how
like at dawn?
Dawn or mid evening or like?
Yeah, it was late, but it was definitely light out, and and you can actually see the sun in the sky in many of these shots. And this is what I think was so amazing about this movie is Spielberg knew exactly what he could get away with. Like he knew, like, oh, the mechanical shark looks like shit. I can't have that on the screen too much. But he also knew nobody gives a shit if you can see the sun in one shot when it's clearly supposed to be at night. Like, you know, the things that as filmmakers that we stress out about, you know, that if you were on a set and they were trying to shoot this, the DP and the producers would be screaming about, like, you can't have a shot cut from the sun to pitch blackness to day for night to, you know, like.
I'm Steven Spielberg. In the future, I know everything.
Well, speaking of the mechanical shark, do you think there was like a prop master who had like a weird relationship with the inanimate shark puppet?
It's just you and me now, shark.
I feel like everyone ended up having a weird relation. They named it Bruce and they like talked to it. And
Yeah. Well, somebody's been on the Universal tour.
Why does the shark have so many holes in it?
Oh my god.
All right, so here we are. Welcome to the show. This is License to Watch, and we are here with our first of 4 entries talking about the illustrious Jaws film franchise. The first movie we're talking about, of course, is 1975 Steven Spielberg classic Jaws, starring Roy Scheider, Robert
Schneider?
Shaw? What?
Rob Schneider?
Rob
No.
Schneider. No, it is
No,
Scheider.
not Rob Schneider.
Rob
Roy
Schneider.
Scheider. Rob Schneider.
There's a lot of R's and S's going on. We got Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and then Richard Dreyfuss.
I think Rob Schneider's still pitching that European Shark Gigolo movie around town.
And Lorraine Gray, the wife of one of the producers, who managed to finagle her way into several of these movies.
Yeah, I love that her whole career basically is just Jaws movies.
That woman right there?
Yeah.
What else is she in?
I mean, that's why you
Jaws 2.
marry well.
Jaws 4.
Jaws 4.
She stars in Jaws 4.
Jaws 2, Electric Sharkaloo.
Yeah.
It's a breakdance competition on the beach.
Oh yeah.
Not if Jaws has anything to do with it.
The audience is the winner. It's kind of sad because the only move that Jaws could do is the worm.
Yeah.
It's just the worm over and over again.
This kind of
Like
is
Jaws,
the
come
problem.
on.
And it couldn't even really do that well.
This kind of is the problem with Jaws to me. There's wasted potential there. The Jaws they could have gone so far with the shark.
The Jaws dance movie would have been good.
Yes,
good.
Jaws dance movie would have been good. Any variation of like making a shark be basically what a human character would be in another movie.
I think retroactively, when they saw how shitty the other movies came out, they might have, if they had to do over again, revisited that and been like, yeah, let's do what was the dancing pitch again?
Are we gonna get one where like the shark is a sympathetic character, where like I'm gonna feel the shark's perspective, and it's like he was really just trying to be their friend.
He was just hungry.
Everybody in the town becomes racist over the shark.
Yes.
And the shark is just like, sometimes you just want to be accepted. Yes. Why do you think I'm this way? Because of society.
Yes. When are they making that Jaws movie?
Joining us today for this episode, once again, is Mr. Carl Tart.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. I have questions about this movie. One, he just woke up and left the house. He didn't brush his teeth. He didn't comb his hair.
Mm.
He looks
so
like
he's talking to
shit.
real close to this guy right now, and
you'd think
you
that
know
guy
his
would know.
breath stinks.
Yeah. Especially because like sort of the unspoken subplot of this movie, and I think it was, I'd never read the novel, but I've heard that it was a big part of the novel, is that apparently Chief Brody got fired from his big New York City job for being a drunk. And you will see a lot of references to him and his wife getting hammered in this movie, including the fact that the first time we meet them, they're waking up and he's bitching about how the sun is so bright, and she's just like sleeping in. Their kids are already up and out doing stuff, and they are sleeping off a hangover very clearly.
Yes.
So you see it referenced a lot, although they don't make as big a point of it. But yeah, so you know his breath is extra stanky because he's got a little of that like that fur on it.
And in the 70s, they weren't drinking like, you know, cool stuff that we drink now. Ciroc peach pineapple.
No, they were drinking like
drinking for
was light beer even a thing at that point? When was
I
light
think that was a
beer
new
invented?
innovation.
Yeah, it was like some guy was like, we'll make the beer lighter and we'll sell it to people who want it to be lighter, and other people were like, that's a stupid idea.
Yeah, and he's like, we're going to spell it Lite, and they're like, oh wait, maybe this
Brilliant.
is genius.
Yeah.
Was there Diet Coke in the 70s?
I don't think so.
I think the 80s is when everything
80s,
changed.
I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like all these things, like the whole diet thing happened, and they were like, oh, everything's got to be light now, even if it isn't actually going to help you lose weight. We're just going to say everything's diet.
It's actually worse for you because it tricks your mind into thinking you're getting the same sugars, but you're not, and it makes you hungrier.
Mm. And also, it tastes like shit. I mean,
It does,
I don't know why. Like, some people are like, oh, this diet stuff with this aspartame and it tastes just as good as the regular. And I'm like, you need to drink more regular stuff because you do not understand how far off you are.
I will say Coke Zero, pretty damn good. You guys are getting paid for all of this, right?
I wish Coke was a sponsor of ours. So we're
Either
getting
kind of Coke.
we're getting right into it. Yeah, cocaine is what I mean.
This
show
podcast
is sponsored
brought to you by cocaine.
You think Harris has the sniffles? Yes, again.
Hey, we're just trying to blow you away.
Oh man. I was trying to think of something. You ever see the movie Powder? I don't know. That's all I got.
No,
Isn't that about like an albino guy?
Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing to do with
and it was
cocaine at
directed
all.
by a notorious pedophile. Let's just leave it
That's
out.
true. We should definitely cover that.
Oh my God! Why is that like a thing that's like, oh, it's directed by a pedophile? We should cover that.
I mean,
We
look
should watch
at the
that
smile
movie.
on Colin's face. You know why?
It's not fair. Wait. Going back to Sheriff Brody, it's not just in the first scene that it's obvious he's not taking care of himself. It's like throughout the whole movie. When they decide to like go do an autopsy on the shark in the middle of the night while trashed, they just go out in the middle of the night and like drive a boat out into the ocean, and like he never calls his wife and tells her what they're doing. And then when he goes out on the boat with the other two guys, they're just gonna be out there until they're done.
For a guy who's frequently right, he is like the master of bad decisions in this movie.
This movie was made in a time when wives were treated like shit.
Yeah.
And kids were neglected entirely.
Yeah.
It was the 70s. Now this guy right here,
Killer
Yep.
jacket.
Yes,
mayor.
the mayor in
This
his
dude is
anchor jacket.
an insane person.
And
He's-
very bad at his job. If his job is protecting people from being eaten by
Like,
sharks.
His
His
clothes
whole-
are great.
His whole thing is we can't close the beach because it'll ruin the summer economy.
Right.
But how much money is this town really making in the summer?
Yeah.
There's no way this town's making that much money. You're gonna lose us $600 in snow cone sales.
I think the real thing that doesn't make any sense is he's so worried about closing the beach because it'll shut down the economy, and he's not worried about people getting eaten by sharks,
Yeah,
which
which-
also would impact the economy
Yeah.
rather negatively, as we discover in this movie.
Yeah. As certain consumers are getting killed, and they can never be consumers in this economy again.
Yeah,
so-
some consumers are actually opposed to being eaten by sharks.
Yeah.
As it turns out, that's like not a selling point for
they're unable to spend money in the digestive system of the shark.
yeah.
This is a pretty cool scene. How they
Mhm.
all get out of the car
Yep.
to ride the ferry.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and we just hold in this one shot, and it basically the camera just sits there on the edge of the ferry, and you'll see these guys sort of move in and out of frame in the conversation depending on what their focus is and who's because they'll pull Brody aside here, and it'll transfer this shot without moving the camera at all into a close up of them. And I have to say that's my big takeaway, because we talked about this before, and we'll probably talk about it more. I've only seen this movie like once all the way through before watching it for this podcast, and it's partly
shocking.
me maybe not being a huge Spielberg fan, but it's mostly
Also
been me
shocking.
also not being big on like dismemberment and gross stuff, and being really traumatized by a couple moments in this movie when I was a kid. And watching it now, I was like amazed, first of all, that you don't really see that much gross stuff, that I think a lot of it was in my head. But more importantly, that this is like a master class of economical visual storytelling. Like the dialogue in this movie, most of it, even what's being said right now, there's so little important dialogue in this movie. Most of it is just like sort of background filler to add color into whatever action is happening. Most of the movie is played out in like actions like you'll see in this scene with the swimmers and the kids on the beach, and it's all played out visually. Like there's a lot of dialogue in this scene, but it's all just random people talking to Brody, and it doesn't mean a thing. What we're seeing is him becoming increasingly paranoid about the shark in the water. We see two false alarms, and then we see the real attack, and it's such a perfect buildup, but it's all done through how the scene is shot and cut, which Spielberg was not a rookie now. He had been doing TV for years. He had already directed a couple of features, but this is clearly like his first big breakout. But you could tell he was already a master on a level that you don't see from guys sort of directing their technically their second made for theater features.
Yeah. This movie is full of smart decisions, filmmaking decisions that, obviously become like staples of his through the years. But at the time, I think no one thought like this. Like he kind of changed this movie, especially. This was the first blockbuster, as you guys know. People like waited like literally coined the term blockbuster. People waited in line around the block to see this. You know, and like a lot of filmmaking standards became.
So the implication was that the line was so long that there were enough people standing on the sidewalk that it could literally break the concrete.
Yeah.
Did that ever happen, though?
Well, in the great blockbusting event of 1972, yes.
How exciting would that be? Standing on a sidewalk and it breaks,
And all of a sudden you
slightly?
collapse and plummet into the molten core of the earth
That false alarm was a little cheesy.
with a guy with the
person
swimming under.
and they shake their head. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think
Not
that's as
me.
bad. I don't think that's as bad as afterwards he comes up and shows off the swim cap, and Brody's like, "I don't like your swim
He
cap."
says, "Bad hat, Harry."
Yeah.
But what I like about it, especially that first one, is how it's cutting on the people crossing in front of him, and every cut moves the camera a little closer to Brody, so we're sort of zeroing in on him, and that's it's almost a kind of a foreshadowing of the eventual his reaction shot when the shark actually attacks, and you get that great dolly zoom vertigo shot, which is like probably the most iconic shot in this film.
Why is Brody so scared? Could he be tougher? Could he just go fight the shark?
Well, he hates the water.
It's a 38-foot shark.
Yeah, I know. That shark is
shark is a bust.
awesome. When they
There's your titties. There's some titties you want to see. 4K.
Yeah.
That old man.
Harry's got some 4K titties there.
He does have like a little bit of perkiness to them.
Yeah, they're definitely supple. They're like the French say, they're the perfect size, the size of a champagne glass.
Yep, the French were definitely talking about him. When
Yeah. They're like, this is the titties that we
If
want.
I need titty advice, I don't go to the French.
If the nipples are pointed up, that's what's up.
If the nipples are pointed down, I'm down.
All right, so before we like dive any further into this movie, let's kind of Harris kind of touched on it. This is only your second time ever seeing this all the way through. What's everyone else's history with this movie? Carl, as our guest, are you a Jaws aficionado, or is this are you like Harris and this is like your second time seeing it?
Absolutely not. Still not. I watched it for y'all. I've seen clips of it on TBS and things like that. Here's one thing that is true. Is that the real shark?
Yeah, that's the real shark.
Oh, shit.
And you just sort of see the silhouette. It barely shows anything. And then you see like the bubbling blood coming out of the water. But
what causes the blood to churn so much?
That shot was
special
crazy.
effects.
Is he gargling the guts?
It's a machine. It's some kind of machine. All right, so you're not that familiar with this movie.
No. I did. So here's a little fun fact about my life. My mom used to be a studio tour guide at Universal. And so I worked. I was there.
You were the shark.
I was the shark. Yeah. No, I used to go every weekend. Like that was like what we did. This part is sad.
Yes.
Because that you could tell that lady was already too old to be having a young child.
All the parents.
I'm kidding.
No, all the parents in this movie are like so much older than their kids. They have these young ass kids, and they're all like in their 60s, and I'm like, what is going on in Amity?
Also, that woman was probably like that's a 1970s 33.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Because
I'm in grad school.
because in high school they did look like they were in their 40s. You see those pictures of people in high school, and they've got like the perfectly coiffed hair, and they're wearing ties,
they're all completely bald.
Yeah, but even their faces look old and like kind of square and wrinkled.
They're like, well, sorry, ma'am, your child was eaten. It's okay, I'll have another one. They're like, really?
Really?
I'm only 18 years old. It's like, damn.
Excuse
You look like you're 1,000.
Mind your manners, sir. No,
this is the 70s. I've got permanent tan lines.
Yeah.
I think in the 70s, like even like a 16-year-old kid would smoke at least more than one cigarette per day.
It was a rite of passage. Like you turned 13, they're like, "Here you go,
That's true,
son.
yeah.
A pack of Marlboro Lights."
Anyways, back to Universal Studios.
Yes. So my mom was a tour guide at Universal Studios, and I would go every weekend because that was like babysitting for me. So she would let's say grab a friend. Usually it was my best friend Russell or Jovan or both, and we would go up there every week. And I would try to catch my mom's tour every time. I would like hang out by there, and she would tell me like, "Here's when I'm gonna go." This was before cell phones, not before cell phones, but before I had a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm like 11 or 12 at this time, and
So you would just ride all the rides?
yeah. Well, see, I'm not a big attraction guy, so I would do I love to do like the Harry and the
shows?
Hendersons,
Oh.
the shows. and like the stuff that I could do. I really enjoyed the Universal tour.
I've never been. Has everyone else here been to Universal Studios?
You've never been?
I've
Me and
never
Matt
been.
went together once.
That's cute. Like a date.
It was great. I loved when we went to the Waterworld show, and we sat there, and I was like, I bet like 90% of these people have never seen Waterworld.
Well, I just want to say again, thanks for inviting me, guys. You always include me in these little things.
I had never seen it. I had never seen Waterworld, but I watched that show a million times.
Yes.
And in an episode of Love on Netflix, I got to be in this show.
Oh,
What?
yes.
Yeah. So I got to be backstage and ride on a boat and like do like the
Did they like fling you off of the like thing that the guy jumps off of?
No, but I did get to like jump off of a rig.
jet ski or something.
Yeah.
Nice.
And my buddy Chris Witowski got to like shoot the gun in the back of the boat and everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was pretty sick. And they cut me out of that show for something serious. Like all my lines were cut. It was just like me being like I would basically just turn into an extra at a certain point. But yeah, I would go every week and I would be on the tram rides like 2 and 3 times a day. Like I would, of course, would ride my mom's tram just to see how she performed it, and then I would see other people.
This was
And
before Jimmy Fallon was the tour guide.
He was already on SNL at this time. This is like 2001,
Okay.
2002, and so I would, I would be up there all day doing the backstage show was another one. Backdraft, that was another one I liked.
Oh, yeah.
Backdraft.
But yeah, so that's how I learned about Jaws.
Terminator 2, was that around those days? The T2 like 3D show that they had
Oh,
there.
I remember that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Wasn't there like there was like an original King Kong ride also
Mhm.
before there was. Now it's like part of the studio tour, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the studio tour was the 1970s King Kong. That was like 1976 New
Right,
York.
right, right.
Mhm.
Ah,
And a big
earthquake,
hand.
right?
Yeah.
That's I just know that from the commercials.
Yeah.
Big monkey hand.
Well, and it would smell like they would
it's
pump
a
banana
gorilla.
scent into the
Really?
into
They
the
did?
room, and you if like you could sometimes smell it if you were in like the right tram, and they're like, oh, he's got banana breath. That was like one of the jokes that they would use. But what she had was to train. There was a binder that was really thick, like 5 inches thick binder. It was a script, and it came with a videotape, which was called A Universal Story, and it was hosted by Ron Howard, and it was like 3.5 hours long of just a story about almost every movie that they've ever made and how the tour works and how the studio works. And so I watched that thing a ton. So I've never actually seen this movie. I mean, besides when we watch it for this, but like I knew a lot about it. And you know, you go to the Amityville set, and he did a great job painting these.
Well,
signs.
he must have taken Brody's advice and let the secretary do the lettering.
Yeah.
Colin, what was your first Jaws
I
experience?
don't remember. I know I saw it at some point when I was younger. I know I watched it like a year ago. Me and Matt also watched it like a year ago. You were probably invited.
Sure.
Yeah, I knew I'd seen it before, and I watched it again. I don't remember my first experience with Jaws. I'm pretty sure it was cable, like cable TV. It definitely wasn't the theaters because I was not alive in the 70s.
Yeah, I feel like I saw most of these scenes at some point. Like this is a very familiar movie, so I'm sure I saw most of this movie in bits and pieces on TV. But yeah, didn't. This is the first time I've watched it all the way through in many, many years, and I watched it twice.
Were they drinking in this scene?
Oh yeah, they're drinking in almost every scene that they're in together.
Those kids are too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, like he's just like getting drunk and looking at like shark books that are just making him terrified.
Yeah. We never get his story of why he's so scared of the water. We get a lot of we get Robert Shaw's story. We get what's his name? Hooper's story. But we never find out what it is that Roy Scheider and I think she even alludes to the idea that he was traumatized by something and that's why he doesn't go in the water.
A shark killed my parents.
And shark killed my dad and married my mom.
And he beat me. He beat me real good.
Terrible stepfather.
He had a powerful dorsal fin.
Matt, what was your experience from this movie?
Different from all of you guys. I think this is my dad's favorite movie. So like whenever we were looking for a movie to watch, I feel like my dad would pull out the old Jaws VHS. So I feel like I watched this movie at least once a year growing up, and like I feel like it's a part of my education. Like I know this movie pretty well. Yeah, I always thought growing up that like everyone was in the same boat as me.
Is this
No
how you
pun
learned to
intended.
swim?
Yes. Actually,
Like
my
Jaws.
my neighbor growing up had a above ground pool in his backyard, and his dad was like a pretty big guy, and he used to, when we were kids, like maybe like 12 years old or whatever, we'd go swimming in his pool, and we were obsessed with Ace Ventura at the time. Do you remember? And there's a part when Ace Ventura falls into a tank, and like he gets thrown around the pool back and forth. And
But the dolphin, the Miami dolphin.
I think that's a shark tank in
Yeah.
that scene. And it's supposed to like be making fun of this movie. So yeah, he used to like grab me and my friend and like throw us around like as if we were getting eaten by a shark. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, sounds fun.
But going back to like the cinematic qualities of this movie, Harris, you were saying that like a lot of the dialogue's not important, but I feel like so much of this movie, like the scene that we're watching right now, conveys information through just like pictures in a book, or like, you just see that one little thing about how sharks like respond to sonar or like sound or whatever it is. And like, that's all you really need to know. Like nothing is really jammed down your throat in terms of information.
And they set up to, it's interesting. I watched this twice this week to prepare for this because I feel like I hadn't watched it. Because I watched it the first time and I really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, I'd like to watch it again and be able to focus on some stuff without thinking about the plot. And I realized there was so many allusions to because he kills Jaws at the end by blowing up the compressed air tank with a rifle. And there are so many like setups to that are planted in this. Like the book that he was just looking through had a picture of a shark chewing on something that looked like an air tank or something. Like it was obviously chewing on a piece of garbage. They have Hooper saying that, if these things, get jostled too much, they'll explode. And there's all these other random, jokes about, oh, maybe the shark will eat they make a joke on the boat about the shark eating the compressed air tanks because he says, stranger things have happened. I've seen him eat rocking chairs and stuff. So it's like they keep on telling you how the movie's going to end and then they pay it off. Yeah. And it somehow just sort of, it makes sense when it's really maybe the most improbable thing that happens in this movie. But at that point, you're like, they've been foreshadowing this the whole time.
Even the scene where they cut the stuff out of the other shark's stomach, he pulls out things that aren't fish. Like there's a license plate and whatever.
Old can, yeah.
Yeah.
Should we summarize the plot?
Is that me?
It's you, yeah.
All right.
All right. While you do that, I'm going to run to the bathroom. You guys keep going.
All right. Okay, let's get
Bring back beer.
All right, first we find out that there's a shark and it eats people because someone gets eaten. Then Sheriff Brody wakes up and he's like, oh, I'm fucking hungover, and like, oh no, things are bad because I just found out a shark's eating people. And then the mayor's like, don't talk about that. We're trying to make some money here by, getting people out on the beach. Then they go to the beach and the shark keeps eating people. Then a bunch of people come into the town and they try to kill the shark, and they kill the shark, but it's the wrong shark. And there's a scientist guy and he's like, yeah, this is the wrong shark. Let me tell you. Brody's drunk again. They go cut it open and they're like, look, there's no people inside. Then they hire this guy who's like a fisherman guy who hates sharks. And after the shark eats some more people, they all go out on a boat together and they kill it by like doing a bunch of stuff, like attaching barrels to it, and then the fisherman guy gets eaten by getting chomped in half and swallowed pretty quickly, and the boat gets destroyed, but the three of them, they come out on top because Richard Dreyfuss hides under a rock and Sheriff Brody shoots a compressed air container in the shark's mouth to blow the shark's head off. And in the end, everything's fine, and they're all doing pretty good, except for the people who were eaten.
Wow, that was really short.
Do you think I left out too much?
You didn't tell us how much pussy Chef Brody got after he shot the shark.
That's true. That's true. And I mean, that was mostly left off screen, but I think it was implied. It was heavily implied. I think the biggest thing is, I think you missed a beat that's happening right now, or right after they catch the false shark. There is a long period of time where Hooper and Brody still think that there's a real shark out there that's a threat, and they have the whole back and forth with the mayor.
And they go out on their little boat.
And then they go out, and then the kids are on the sailboat, and that, like, they have another fake shark, and then the whatever, but I think that was, and also they spent a lot of time on the orca at the end looking for the shark.
There's like two movies here.
Yeah.
There's the shark attacking and killing people, and then there's like the whole movie of the three of them on the boat.
Yeah, it's like a whole separate like male bonding journey type of thing. But is this guy here, Ben Graham or whatever, the guy who they find his boat later? I feel like this is the guy that they find his boat later. But then when that corpse is bobbing around in the boat, it doesn't have a mustache, which is what confused me.
Maybe it was that guy behind him.
Maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
And he was also missing an eye, so maybe the fish ate the mustache and the eye.
Ate the mustache in the eye? That makes sense.
Some fish have a taste for particularly mustaches and only left eyes.
Yeah. I think this is like
science.
This is one of the funniest parts. This reminded me of like the Trump boat parade that like they were capsizing each other because they were just like they were all like frantically, none of them really knew what they were doing and they were too close together. It's like all these random fishermen are in these boats and half of them don't even know how to guide these boats, and then like there's guys just throwing guts in the water, there's
like
guys throwing dynamite in the water,
they're like throwing chum on each other,
right? Exactly. And they're
How
all
disgusting
like
would that be?
they're all in constant threat of crashing into each other.
Oh, he just threw like blood and guts all over me.
I thought this scene was really impressive. I thought Dreyfuss was really impressive in this scene and in the scene where he cuts the shark open at being like a guy who's clearly just trying not to vomit.
Yes.
And, like you could see he spends the entire scene like breathing, just focusing on like not puking, and he asks for the glass of water.
A little tiny ass cup of water.
And then he has to like dunk his whole face in a bowl of water.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought the performance was really good because it's like him acting like a guy who's trying to keep his shit together and be a professional and be like a scientist, but is also definitely grossed out by this whole thing.
He doesn't like he's not a human being scientist, so like examining a dead body is not his actual thing.
What was okay, so this is sort of jumping around a little bit, but what was your favorite or your least favorite like shark kill here in this movie?
I think I know my favorite.
Well, I mean, I guess it could be your favorite and your least favorite if it's like your favorite because it's the grossest. I guess I'm saying like, what's the most like scarring one?
I actually like the one that you probably hate the most, the leg like dropping down. I think that one always gets me. The leg looks so real.
Yeah, because it's got a shoe on it, and
that just sells it.
Yeah, you just don't see dismembered body parts that are like still partially dressed, and it's got like you could see like his leg hair and everything. It looks really real. It's really gross.
Yeah,
it's the wrong shark.
Yeah,
they killed that one.
Yeah,
that one's hanging up on the side of Universal.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just assumed that was a real shark.
I think everyone's got that picture of like their head in the shark's mouth,
yes.
You know.
That's a good looking shark though. Oh, and you see the fly on it?
Yeah.
Good
I
detail.
always love.
See, that's why Steven Spielberg. No, just kidding.
Steven Spielberg cast that fly. Yeah. He auditioned 18 flies before he found the right one.
I saw something when I watched it this time. There's like a shooting star that goes behind Sheriff Brody's head, but then it looks like. Is it a special effect?
It's a special effect.
But why? What
it's
does
a
it mean?
Spielberg thing. He just puts so anytime you see the sky in this movie or at night, it's fake. All the stars are fake.
It's like in Close Encounters where all the stars in every night.
And there's a shooting star in that movie too. It just became like a thing that he does.
Interesting. Well, I think the best kill is easily Robert Shaw. It's a big payoff. It's like you also kind of like. You kind of want at least one of the three of them to like actually get killed by the shark, you know, because the shark is just too powerful. Am I wrong?
Tart, what do you got for your favorite kill?
Oh, the little boy.
Little boy. Yeah.
He had it coming.
The burbling blood bath, the blood fountain.
Take that woman's only grandson, son.
Yeah, I'm.
But like the churning of the blood does that mean that the shark bit him in half and as it chewed up the leg part was like gurgling the blood for the taste of it?
I think so. Yes.
Just for the taste of it,
little boy. Delicious little boy.
Now with aspartame.
Just for the taste of it.
Tastes great, but won't fill me up.
Brought to you by cocaine.
I think that this isn't my favorite, but I do think some props need to be given to the girl at the beginning who goes out skinny because that sort of sets the tone for the whole movie of like, hey, it's, sexy teens having fun and innocent times and everyone's just enjoying themselves. And then all of a sudden disaster strikes when you least expect it.
Yeah.
And also the whole thing with her, like, just, I think there's something horrible about realizing that you're fucked and still being around there fighting for life. And she gets dragged through the water. She has a part where she's clinging to the buoy. And I think that's why, I mean, for me, it is my least favorite is the leg dropping down when that guy gets eaten. And the best one is definitely, for me, the Robert Shaw one. But for the same reasons that I think the girl is horrifying. I remember watching that as a kid, watching Robert Shaw get eaten by the shark. And first of all, thinking that he was like such a badass that if anyone was going to survive, it was him. And then you sort of assume, when I was a kid, I assumed Hooper was going to get killed because he was out there in the water on his own. And then Robert Shaw, all of a sudden, everything's fine. He's like singing and making fun and blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, the boat's half underwater. He goes shooting down into the shark's mouth. And then like he gets bit in half and he still continues stabbing the thing with a machete for like several seconds while like blood's spurting out of his mouth. And I'm like, dude, you're fucked. You're done. It's over. The movie's over for you. And yet he still ends up kicking around there for like, 10, 15 seconds.
Even if
that's horrifying.
Even if his machete stabbing like gets the shark to stop at that point, he's still like half
missing.
person.
He's missing really important parts of his body.
And they
the
die in
legs,
each other's
the penis,
arms.
the intestines.
They die in each other's arms.
That would be romantic.
Fins.
Especially like the guy who's probably most traumatized by sharks, even though he's decided to like murder them for a living to deal with his trauma. But like he's probably the last guy who really wanted to get eaten by a shark. He already escaped the worst shark bloodbath.
That's what I think it's weird. It's kind of satisfying when he gets eaten, but like he's the one who shouldn't get eaten, right? Like everything you're saying, Harris, is like this is the guy who probably shouldn't be the one who gets eaten.
That's what makes it work, I think.
I think it's just because he's like he will not shut up with like being like the insane old sailor man. He just keeps coming with that energy.
Yeah. I think that it's sort of in like a karmic way, it makes a little bit of sense only in that like he's the guy who should know best not to fuck with sharks. And he is overconfident. The same thing that he accuses Hooper of being like a know-it-all and knowing everything. But like he spends that entire time on the boat acting like he's got it all figured out. And then you can see him getting a little nervous when he realizes this is a much bigger shark and all of his tricks and stuff aren't working. And
once
yet
he's gone past 3 barrels, it's like it doesn't make sense to him anymore. 3 barrels. What?
And yet he persists. He drives the boat too fast and everyone else is telling him he's wrong and he just won't listen to them. And if he had a little more humility, he might have survived. But, it's kind of like his comeuppance is almost like an Ahab thing. He becomes so obsessed with killing the shark that it clouds his logic.
And being right.
Yeah, being right, yeah.
If I wrote this movie, I would have added a scene in the beginning. It would have started on that girl's bedroom. The first eating girl. Start on her bedroom. She's climbing out of a window like this one. And next thing you know, her light turns on. And her black mom is standing at the door. And she's like, and just where the hell do you think you're going? She's like, I'm going out with Billy, Mom. You're going to go out there and get your slutty ass eaten by a shark. Shut up, Mom. Sharks in that water. I love Billy. You're going to either get pregnant or get eaten by a shark. And she's smoking a cigarette the whole time.
That's the way it goes.
And we never discuss why her mother's black.
It doesn't need to be stated.
And then she goes out there and she gets eaten by a shark.
I would like that.
And that's why you always listen to your black mother.
Yeah.
Are there black people in this movie?
Absolutely not.
Oh no, there
Not a
actually are. There are a ton of them. Always background characters. Always on the beach scenes.
Really? I haven't seen any.
I didn't see anyone.
They actually put them front and center on some of the beach scenes when people are getting eaten. Watch when the kids get in the overturned boat and a bunch of people run to sea on the beach, and like the 3 people in the front are all black. And all I was thinking was, like, because this is based on Martha's Vineyard, it's a very waspy, New England-y kind of thing.
Yeah.
All these people are. You saw the boyfriend who takes Sheriff Brody to the shore is like, I go to Trinity in Hartford. My parents live in Greenwich now, but I was born here on this island. I'm like, this kid is like the whitest, richest, most privileged kid that you will ever know. But this is like what these communities are. And then every time I saw a black face in this movie, I was like, on the Vineyard?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie The Inkwell? You ever heard of that movie?
I have seen the movie The Inkwell.
It's with Lorenz Tate and Jada Pinkett Smith and Dwayne Martin. It's set in the 1970s. It's like a period piece, but it's about black people on Martha's Vineyard. There was like a black area of Martha's Vineyard that they would like go, like it was like summer homes. Like black people would be there.
I guess some of them came to the beach for Jaws.
There you go. Now Harris buys it.
And all of them have white daughters, and they try to tell them, you're going out there being fast,
I told you, and I'll tell you again.
playing grab ass with that boy. You're going to get eaten by a shark.
I like the idea that motherly wisdom, always says that there's only two things that are going to happen to you: pregnancy, eaten by a shark.
Yeah, those are the two options. But Mom, we're landlocked. We're like thousands of miles. We're in Nebraska.
Like also in
It's
Kansas, like the same thing as
The third thing, pregnant by a shark.
Yeah.
pregnant by a
No,
shark. is tough.
they're in Nebraska.
Yeah.
You can either go out there and get pregnant or get eaten by the children of the corn.
The corn sharks.
Corn shark.
The fin comes out of the corn. Donna.
And they're running. They got man bottoms. Shark top man bottoms. They're running.
like a reverse mermaid.
When you say man bottoms, I'm not picturing any pants on this.
No,
It's
no, no.
literally just
No, he's flopping
pantsless,
around.
Just the ass hanging out. Man
What does a corn shark need with pants?
corn sharks care not for pants.
Just corn shark penises flopping all around when they run.
They're super fast. They run 4.6 40s.
Yeah. They like the feel of the stalks as they brush by.
If they don't get recruited for a D1 football program, they just stay in the corn eating up people. That's it.
How did you end up out here, corn shark? Well, I was playing at University of Nebraska. I tore my ACL.
That's how you can get the NCAA death penalty. You're using non-human players. You're getting corn sharks.
Corn sharks also sounds like either like some kind of like a potato chip snack or like a breakfast
A
cereal.
cereal, yeah. Corn shark.
Did you ever eat corn nuts?
Sugar frosted corn sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good snack.
Oh, that's the summertime pool snack.
Corn nuts?
Yeah, like corn nuts combos.
Pizza flavored.
Boston,
combos.
yeah, Boston baked beans. Remember those? I always hated those.
What the hell were bugles? Is
Chips.
it like? Is it just to put them on your fingers? Because like, do they taste good?
Or
They're not great.
You could also put them in your mouth as like little fangs.
Right, but
I bought some at the golf course recently because I was like, oh man, I ain't had no bugles in years, and I was just like, this tastes such like a Big Lots chip.
Yeah.
You know?
it's just kind of bland and like.
Yeah,
It's funny the things you have nostalgia for just because you're like, oh, I haven't had that in years. And you haven't. You're like, why did I ever like this?
What about
Did I?
Funyuns? What do you guys think?
Oh,
of
Funyuns are good
Yeah,
as hell.
Funyuns are
Yeah.
good. It's just like Funyuns are really good until you get to that like breaking point of like, oh, I've definitely had too many Funyuns and like fucked up my whole digestive system.
Which for me takes almost nothing because I'm already like onion averse.
Let me ask y'all this: are there some chips that are better in snack packs than they are big size? I think Funyuns is one of those chips. I feel like the seasoning is just a little bit more prominent in the smaller packages.
But also, it restricts you from overdoing it.
yeah,
So I feel like there's something to be said for only being able to eat a little of them and ending wanting more rather than ending with regret.
yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you guys have ever tried this. My favorite kind of potato chips is the Kettle brand Buffalo Blue chips, and they're like buffalo sauce and blue cheese flavored chips, and they're really good. They almost always come in the snack pack size, and almost always at like a gas station. They're like never at the grocery store. You can get them in the full size bag, but like it's another one of those chips where it's like this is really really good, but once you've eaten too many, you have like you're not gonna feel great.
Yeah, I feel like the Kettle jalapeno chips I really like, but are another one that's like, give me a little snack bag. Do not give me a whole bag of them because if I eat past a certain point, it's going to be like heartburn and discomfort and just sadness.
But I don't care. I just love those chips.
Tart, going back to your question, I feel like the little bag of, I forget what they're called, like cheese doodles. Is that what they're called? Like
Cheetos?
Doodles.
cheese, not the puffed ones, but like cheese. What are they like?
Cheetos?
Chester
Cheetos?
Cheeto,
Yeah.
Cheetos. That I called them cheese doodles when I was a kid.
Why?
I think there are
think
things
Cheese
called
Doodle is
cheese.
another
I think
brand.
that actually is. Yeah, I think it's like the generic.
The
name for
Planters
those.
ones that came in a canister were called cheese doodles.
Maybe
Okay.
that's
Yeah, there you go.
Those are called Cheetos.
Chester is like Chester doesn't get the respect he deserves. He was a really cool like cartoon animal.
They made him British now. He used to
Yeah.
be like
Fuck
a,
is that?
a
Yeah.
cool cigarette smoking cat.
Yeah.
And they
Oh,
made him, and they
yeah.
Always
also
with the sunglasses.
they also made him like weird. kind of like an Old
weird.
Spice commercial. Yeah, like weird, like David Lynch weird.
He likes to
I
see
think
chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it
It's
again.
very, very strange.
It's like that's not Cheetor. That's
Yeah.
Chester Cheetah. But you think that the regular flavored Cheetos are better in the snack pack
there
than
any
they
other
are?
I don't think
kinds
I've
of-
ever had them
Wait,
in a large bag.
Is there another kind of doodle? Is there like a non-cheese doodle? Like
I think so. I think you can get just the doodle without flavor somewhere.
When I was a kid, I only ever ate
your
the puffs. You know how like Cheetos are like the skinny, crunchy ones, or like the big, fat puffed ones?
Yeah.
I loved those as a kid, the puffed ones. And then like later in life, I discovered the thinner ones.
I kind of picture Matt as a kid, like always having the orange cheese fingers and the little Kool-Aid stain on the top of his t-shirt.
Hey guys, welcome to my house. Let's play some Super Nintendo.
Like his mouth is constantly red, his fingers are always orange.
That's pretty accurate. I was a big fan of Yoo-Hoo chocolate drink as a kid.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good.
See,
I mean, I liked Quick. I didn't because Yoo-Hoo's got a little. I don't know. There's like a weirdness to that flavor, but I was really
How
a
dare
big
you.
Quick.
Yeah,
fan.
how dare you?
how dare you?
I don't, listen, I'm just saying. I feel like Yoo-Hoo is like chocolate drink, and Quick was like chocolate milk.
Milk, yeah.
Yeah,
Yoo-Hoo-
chocolate drink is cool though.
Ugh,
Yoo-Hoo was
chocolate.
always better in like the take the straw off the back, poke it, little box.
Yeah.
Really, I
But
prefer
I
the
tried it
glass
in the
bottle.
glass, and I was like, "This is whack."
Yeah,
Did y'all
because you can
drink
tell it's not
Ovaltine?
milk.
The thing with the glass one is that if you didn't shake it well enough,
you
it
gotta shake
tasted
it so
funny.
hard.
Yeah, you have to shake it real hard.
Did y'all drink Ovaltine?
No.
I have drank
before,
Ovaltine.
but
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
not
drink it
good.
a lot. We
It's-
always had
that's a bad idea.
at home. We always had the Nestle one where to mix.
Yeah,
Yeah, we always
yeah.
had the Nestle.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that shit's good.
That's Quick.
That's quick.
But Yoo-Hoo was like the ultimate at summer camp when I was little. The summer camp had like a trading post, and the Yoo-Hoo was like the ultimate trading post item.
Wait, you're a New York guy. Did you do egg creams? Was that a big thing for you?
I mean, it wasn't like 1950s New York, but like.
But
you
I
know,
mean, yeah, but they have egg creams.
my dad my dad's old school, and
Yeah.
he loves egg creams, and he would like make them. He still could make
I'm
them.
just saying, outside of New York, nobody drinks egg creams.
No
and
one
in New
knows
York,
what it
they're
is,
big, and they're not bad. But it's one of those things you really have to grow up drinking it. I think to really.
Yeah, it's like a
Into it.
fizzy chocolate milk,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah,
Oh,
Ugh.
it's
Yeah.
like it's seltzer, milk, and then like
It's better than it
chocolate syrup.
sounds, and not as good as anybody who loves egg creams will tell you it is.
There's no egg or cream in it.
okay.
But that's I don't want fizzy chocolate milk.
No, you do. It's
No,
good.
I don't.
I'm
don't
kind
know
of,
yet.
I should try egg creams now because I'm like, as I get older, I'm just into fizzy everything. Just
What if-
get some fizz in it, whatever it is.
What if I just like get a Yoo-Hoo and a club soda and I just put them in the same glass? Is that going to be the same?
How dare
thing?
you?
That sounds.
Wait, is there
disgusting.
no eggs in egg cream? Because I always kind of assumed because it is kind of like a fizz, like a whiskey sour or something kind of thing where you would put an egg white in it to make it kind of fizzy.
Maybe that's where the name comes from, but I know like the real one, like the real ingredient or recipe, it doesn't have eggs in it.
Well,
at all.
as a service to our listeners, I'm going to say if you're curious to know more about how egg creams are made, Google that shit. We're not an information podcast. Speaking of which, should we talk about the movie some more?
I guess.
I guess.
I mean, what more can you say? It's a
We
pretty
really
much a
haven't talked
perfect
about
movie.
it that much. We haven't talked about we really haven't talked about Robert Shaw, Colin's great grand uncle. Is that it? This is our second time talking about Robert Shaw on this podcast because several years ago now,
Yeah.
on our From Russia with Love podcast, we talked about Robert Shaw. He plays the villain in that movie very early in his career. He is, of course, an English actor, novelist, playwright, and alcoholic.
Bodybuilder
Just saying
or
what
like
he was
male
famous
model or
for.
something?
No, I think he's was just mostly an actor. He got into acting by acting. One of those rare people who went
How'd you
straight
get into this
it.
business? Acting.
Yeah, and his nephew is a fella named Scott Shaw, who we talked about this all but I mean, look, he looks exactly like Colin. They got the same last name. Scott Shaw is apparently Colin's biological father. I swear to God.
I'm better looking than that. I'd
Yeah,
say.
yeah, but it's the appearance is incredible, and we did this on our From Russia with Love podcast, but I think it's worth doing again. Is just looking at Scott
That-
Shaw's.
It does have a mustache.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, I guess we solved that
All right.
mystery.
Sorry.
But Scott Shaw has one of the best IMDb pages just for the titles of the movie alone. He is the star, producer, director, and writer of several lower budget action movies, such as The Rollerblade 7, Samurai Vampire Bikers from Hell, Guns of El Chupacabra, Psychotomimetic Tokyo, Aberration Israel, Streets.
Aberration Israel.
Yeah. Streets, Los Angeles.
And
And
that movie could literally have like any content.
It's called Streets. No, that title's not good enough. We need something. Streets, Los Angeles.
what about Samurai Johnny Frankenstein Black and White?
Why
No
Why
punctuation.
is the word Johnny in there?
Yeah, it's amazing. Hawk Warrior of the Wheel Zone. I mean,
Who's giving him the money to make these films?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
well,
do these movies cost money?
In fairness, I've looked at some of these trailers, and it's possible these movies were made for no money at all. It's pretty incredible.
Who gave him money by the camera?
My favorite, though, and we talked about this last time, my favorite is Scott Shaw in Max Hell, Frog Warrior. Now,
Right.
I just want to point out that since then, we have had a discussion about another movie, which you may know,
Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Hell Comes to Frogtown, starring Rowdy Roddy Piper. And what we didn't know the last time we talked about Max Hell, Frog Warrior, because Hell Comes to Frogtown is about a man named Sam Hell who goes and fights a bunch of alien frog people.
Right.
And Max Hell, Frog Warrior is one of several sequels to Hell Comes to Frogtown that were
sanctioned or like
sanctioned. Yes, it's part of the ongoing frog, alien, mutant, post-apocalyptic
Is that
samurai.
Vasquez Rocks right there?
I think it is.
Why would a frog go to Vasquez Rocks?
It's
It's like
all
no moisture there.
it's all very confusing. But I mean, I think at some point we're going to have to watch these.
I mean, it's a franchise.
It's Hell Comes to Frogtown, Frogtown 2, Toad Warrior, a little play on Road Warrior, and then Max Hell, Frog Warrior, which apparently just reuses a lot of Toad Warrior's footage, but is actually a sequel.
Kevin and I were just talking about of Kevin Liu, everybody, our guest engineer for the evening.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't say anything about that earlier.
Yeah, here he is, the man, the legend. He doesn't have a mic.
He doesn't have a mic, so he's just going to.
Here he is.
He's just going to wave off the offer of a mic. More of a behind the camera guy.
But we were just talking about Frogtown the other day, the Los Angeles neighborhood. Is that what it's called? Frogtown, right?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Where is it?
It's by
It's off the LA River. It's over in the east side. It's like
it's like Los Feliz and
off the 5 to the it's south
By Alhambra?
out Atwater south.
Yeah.
It is
Atwater.
it is a neighborhood that is being gentrified,
Oh, okay.
but it's also still got its original elements.
So now's the
is-
time to buy and get in on
Yeah.
the cheap before it turns into Eagle Rock and all the other places that are.
it's probably already that.
Yeah.
So
'Cause when
you're
you go
telling us
there-
to hop on to the Frogtown real estate?
I'm not saying that. Carl Tart is not saying that. I love the people of Frogtown. It's an
You know-
interesting place.
The people of Frogtown, they've got great legs.
Wow.
I don't
You
even
didn't
know
hear
if
from
that's
me.
like,
Colin
that's not
said
even
that.
really- That's not even really a pun.
he didn't
It's
croak
just
when
kinda-
he said it.
Yeah. Anyways, so Robert Shaw is in this movie, and he's got a very famous entrance in this movie. The first time we see him, he is scratching his fingernails down a chalkboard.
I think that's why it's satisfying when he gets killed, actually. Now that we get back to that.
I do not forgive you.
You
for
shouldn't
that.
have scratched the
I
board.
didn't forgive him for that.
Yep.
When
And
he
he's
was
got a
getting
cartoon-
eaten by the shark, I was like, oh yeah, he did that.
Not only does he scratch the board, but he's scratching the board where he's drawn a crude cartoon of a shark eating a man,
I like to imagine like everyone's having this important meeting and he's back there like
doodling.
yeah, he's messed up. He has to like erase a part of it and then like continue.
But it's one of two. He sort of steals this movie in a lot of places, and it's one of his two big speeches. He's got that one where he tells them basically that he will, kill this shark for a price. And then he's got his famous USS Indianapolis speech later on when they're on the boat. But in the interim, he's kind of a drunken, obnoxious creep who kind of is charming in his own weird, drunken, obnoxious way.
He that Indianapolis speech is famously written by John Milius, who directed Conan the Barbarian, which we just watched recently.
Is it true? Is all that information in there true?
It is. That's a true story. Yeah.
For the most part, I don't know how much of it's embellished or sort of the myth of the thing, but yeah, the basic facts are totally true.
For a minute there, they were talking about shooting that as like a prequel to this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The story of the Indianapolis.
And I think they wanted to do it. That was the first pitch. And then I think they ended up doing the normal Jaws 2 sequel that they did. But at one point that was falling apart and they had to fire the director, and they almost got to bring Spielberg back. And Spielberg was going to change it to the Indianapolis thing.
This guy right here, this news reporter, is Peter Benchley. He's the guy who wrote the book that this
that's
movie
a fun
is
fact.
based on. Yeah. I just saw that. Like, that popped up on my Reddit feed, like, right before you guys got here.
Thank God. Oh, the mayor's sporting another dope jacket.
Oh, the mayor's
yeah.
jackets are very, very fine.
He was vaping earlier.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that too, and it was so weird. It was so like incongruous to see somebody vaping way back then. He's actually just like sucking on an unlit cigarette, I think, a lot in this
That's
movie.
what people used to do before fire was invented. They would just suck on the cigarette.
Before fire was invented in 1978.
Cigarettes were around for years before fire. Like, look at these people and look at the kids that they guide into the water. And it's possible that these are the grandkids, but I think the implication here is that they have their children with them and they walk their children into the water. These are like people in their late 60s, or maybe this is a 70s 30, I don't know. But they have like tiny children.
He's like, well, I can't vote yet, but I guess I could go in the water with my kids.
So the mayor came over and was like, why don't you put your kids in the water?
Yeah, because this guy's like a city councilman
those
or something.
have to be grandkids.
Yeah, they must be, but they don't establish that. So what are we to assume?
Do they get eaten? I don't remember.
No, but they get run over when the fake shark pops up. It's this family on like a little.
Oh yeah, that guy gets trampled.
Yeah,
right?
they get trampled later on. So,
what are these little tent things? Are those the bathrooms?
I think they're changing rooms.
Cabanas.
I thought they were cabanas.
Oh,
yeah.
are they?
Why would you not be able to see out of them?
Yeah, that's
That's
what
true.
seems weird. I feel like they should open to the beach.
When
I
you're
also think
having
it's weird that.
sex, nobody can see in. Nobody.
Oh,
can
so
see
they're like little fuck rooms.
Oh, I don't even care if that's true. I think
Now
that's what
we
I'm going to
understand
believe
what
now.
the mayor was about.
Yeah,
like,
I'm.
like if you
Mayor's
say
like,
there's sharks out there,
we got to
won't
keep
fill
our we
fuck
got to keep our
rooms.
brothel tent city open. We got money. There's all these unemployed whores that I got to worry about. Their union will have my ass if we close the beaches.
Now Jaws makes a lot more sense now. I
This
guess.
is one of like lessons that I learned from this movie watching it. Besides just the
Take
basic
the lens cap
filmmaking
off.
stuff. Yeah. But
She was looking good in this movie.
Yeah.
besides the basic filmmaking stuff, there's also some storytelling stuff here that is counterintuitive that like I feel like you would never do as a writer now, or that it's against what a lot of people would coach you to do, which is like you want to keep Brody, the pressure on him. He's your main character and you want to keep him at like a high stress level and keep the conflict all around him. So you'd have like generally what happens in most movies, even of this era, is you have the nagging wife who doesn't believe in him, who's like, there's no shark. Why are you such an asshole? Why aren't you a better sheriff or whatever? And his kids will be like the kids in Close Encounters where they're just like obnoxious and just hate him and have no respect for him and, you know, whatever. And instead, you actually have Sheriff Brody's family's nice. He drinks too much, so does his wife, but they've got a good relationship. They bone, and his kids, you know, don't always agree with him, but they listen to him and respect what he says when he tells his son, don't take the boat out there, please just take it in the pond. The kid's like, okay. And it's like, and it's kind of nice. Like, it's like you, instead of relieving the tension that's on him, it doesn't deflate the tension of the movie, but it does make you care about him a little more because he's got a good life and he's got people who care about him and you sympathize with him and his family and you want them to succeed because they're good people, not a bunch of obnoxious assholes. And I feel like that's something that when you watch most movies, they don't do that.
I saw a non-white person.
Yeah, you'll see them.
I saw
They're
a
in
couple.
this,
I've been seeing a couple in this.
yeah, they're in this scene. They're around here. This is also where the people get trampled. See, you can see the old people. They actually get trampled twice by two different people coming from the same direction.
It was a rough day for them.
Yeah, she runs into them, and then this guy runs into them, apparently from the same direction in a different shot, like a huge continuity fuck up that nobody cares about. Because once again, it's amazing what you can get away with.
Once
when
you're in the
people are
water,
engaged.
you know your
Yeah,
spatial
nobody
reasoning
knows.
is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what's in those little tents? Because that's like a gazebo where people can hang out.
Colin, the tent issue's been settled.
Okay,
I mean, we know now.
It's little fuck rooms.
It's fuck
Got
rooms,
it.
yes. And I don't want to actually hear if there's a real answer out there. Don't at me because I don't want to know about it.
The lifeguards like check in on the fuck rooms every now and then. They just peel
Yeah,
back. They're like,
just-
you guys fucking in here? That's
enough
good.
lube.
Every once in a while, they have to be hosed
Keep it
out.
safe.
Yeah, they just hose it down and throw in some new lube and condoms, and they're like, And then the people are like, we didn't use the old condoms.
I like that they focus on the chaos here of like, there's one guy who like shoves kids off of a float and like steals it from them.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
And there's a great shot that's like a close up of an old man who's clearly not doing well, who's laying in the water, and then he just gets dragged out of the frame by somebody else. Here it is.
That's right here. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good chaotic scene. The other thing he does that I think is really interesting in the way they frame these shots is a lot of the water shots, including the last one of Brody and Hooper swimming back to shore, they fill the frame with water, even though there's nothing to see under the water. Like, not this shot, but like in a lot of these shots of people frantically paddling through the water, knocking each other over, most of the frame is water. It's even part of the camera's partially underwater, and the people that you're focused on are way at the top of the frame, and it just sort of makes you understand how overwhelming the water is. This kid's such a narc.
Are you saying the water is scarier than sharks?
I'm saying that not that the sharks are in the water, so that's what makes the water scary. There's a lot of shit down there that you just don't know.
There's a cool shot coming up where, so they just had the scare. They thought there was a shark. And
look at her pants. I didn't notice that.
Oh, yeah. Her pants are cool. So she sees the real shark.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like a little bit of boy cried wolf kind of situation where they're
and
like,
even Brody,
okay.
whose kid's over there where the real shark is like, fuck, I guess I'll go take a look.
It dawns on him. His wife is saying right now, our kids are over there. And so now there's this cool shot where he runs through the crowd, and little by little, the camera like gets closer to him. It's all like this one shot, and the music is like getting intense. It's staying in focus on him. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
And then you see the size. I mean, that's the first time you see kind of the shark.
I never realized that the first time you see the shark, kind of like its face underneath.
How did the
water,
shark get into the little pond?
It's coming up right here.
There's an estuary, and that's what the
In
lady
between
was yelling about.
In between there.
That woman who had the easel was literally yelling, "The shark is in the estuary. The shark is in the estuary." And I'm like, who thinks of that? It's called an estuary when you're frantic like that.
Yeah,
but I guess she's an island person.
She's artistic. She's educated.
Yeah.
And this guy who was
Estuary is a great word.
trying to, it is a good word. I think it's a really solid word.
Right there. That's the first time
Yeah.
you see it.
And I mean, I'm sure that looks fake as hell. It didn't look like it was moving that much or whatever, but they were so good at knowing how deep they had to have it under the water. And, it looks really good. And here's my least favorite shot of the whole movie.
yeah.
Oh, it looks so real.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a good looking leg from 1970.
Yeah. Gross ass.
Oh, I didn't say that to Mike at all. That was a good looking leg for the 1970s. Did the shark just zoom by him?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you, kid.
And right now he's peeing himself.
Well,
And
when you're in the ocean.
I got a question about Brody's kids. And this is kind of getting ahead of ourselves because it's referencing the sequel a little
Look, he
bit.
does all his own stunts right here. Love it.
But
He broke his ankle.
Brody's kids both seem like how different in age do they seem in this movie? Like a couple of years, they look like they're maybe like 8 and 5 or 8 and 4.
Okay.
And in the second movie, one of them's 17, and the other one looks like he's still about this age.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's kind of weird. I know that's a random thing to bring up, but I was when I was watching this movie, I was like, did the younger boy stop aging at some point? Because that's the younger kid. And he looks like he's about 2 years older in the second movie, which in theory takes place 4 years in the future. So I guess this kid's supposed to be 13, which he doesn't look 13.
Well, it goes hand in hand with like what you're saying, that all the like old people are actually 18
Right.
years old. Yeah.
This is actually a prequel to the Shyamalan movie Old, where like they're on an island and they're aging funny. It's like nobody knows how people age on Amity.
Yeah, maybe it has to do with like seeing the shark. If you see the shark and you're traumatized enough, then you don't age.
It stunts your
anymore.
growth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
What if that doctor kid was like, "Excuse me, miss"?
Yeah, wait. Is that a doctor? Because that doctor looks 15.
Was that a boy? I thought that was a lady doctor.
that was a lady?
A very pretty man or a very
So parents of 4-year-old kids are usually in their 60s.
super confusing.
Hospital doctors are about 15 years old, and like
How'd that shark go right past that kid?
It was a different time
Because he was peeing. It's actually a deterrent.
Really?
Is that true?
He was.
Oh,
Yeah, I think the shark was full of boat guy at that point.
yeah.
I think the shark had eaten the boat guy, and he wasn't out for revenge like he is later.
There's a funny TikTok going around right now. That's one of my favorites, where this guy's swimming. They say sharks can smell blood in the water. This guy's swimming in the water, and the shark is like right next to him, and so he throws up a C for grip. And the next shot is the shark swimming away, and he like wipes his head off. Goes, phew.
That's great. I mean, should we play top 4, or are we at that point already?
I don't know. Sure, we could play top 4. Who's
I don't
running
know
it?
where we are.
I'll run it.
Okay, you're
Okay.
running. All right, Tart, did you play top 4 last time?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't think we did top 4 last
So we do. So top 4 is we're gonna guess the 4 movies that IMDb lists for whatever person that Matt says as their top 4 movies.
Okay.
We're just gonna take turns one at a time, and it's totally random and bullshit.
Okay.
It's totally.
And we all say 4 movies.
No, we just
No,
say
just
one.
guess
Say-
one.
we
One at
say
a time.
one at a time.
So for this movie, since he's not in any of the others, I'll do Richard Dreyfuss.
Richard
Dreyfuss.
All right, and Tart, you're the guest, so you
All
can
right.
go first.
American Graffiti.
Boom.
good one.
That is it.
Wow.
That's his top.
Right out
One of
the
his top
gate.
4.
Close Encounters of a Third Kind.
Damn. Oh, this is
No
gonna be
way.
a short one.
Oh god, I'm gonna fuck it up though. I'm gonna ruin this. I guess I should just go with Jaws.
3 for
3 for 3. We've never done this well. Tart, nail this, and we'll get 4 for 4. That would be a first.
I'll be very surprised if you get this. I've never heard of this movie.
Oh, another Richard Dreyfuss movie.
Mm-hmm.
What else is he in? It's on the tip of my tongue. Is when he's older.
The fact that you said you never heard of it makes it a little harder because I can think of a few others, but they'd all be ones that you know.
I can't. He's really savoring that alcohol. That's how you know he likes it.
He
Damn it.
spits it out right after.
I like. his
I keep
sweater.
thinking in my head Mr. Holland's Opus, but I know that's Robin Williams. But it's like something like that.
That's
It's Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not the movie.
That was going to be my guess, but
Oh.
yeah.
Hey, that's not Robin Williams. That is Richard Dreyfuss. Mr.
Yeah, it is
Holland's
Richard
Opus.
Okay.
Dreyfuss. You're smarter than you thought. Just got to have faith in yourself.
Yeah.
Mr. Holland's Opus 2, The Revenge.
the crescendo.
More opus.
Electric Opus Lou.
No.
I guess Stand By Me, but you've heard of that, so that's not going to be it.
He's in that?
Yeah, he's the grown-up version of the kid.
Is he
He's
the
a narrator,
narrator?
yeah.
No, that is not it.
Is that the one with the leeches?
All right, clue round.
Clue round. I've already said it's a movie I've never heard of. Let's see.
Is it some kind of courtroom drama? Isn't he famous for some
your
kind of
guess
courtroom
is-
drama?
It's written by Neil Simon, so I'm guessing it's based on a play, like a Neil Simon play.
Oh, I got a couple. I can guess in a couple.
Yeah, I feel like Harris is going to be the one to nail this.
Is it Lost in Yonkers?
No.
That answer was bonkers.
There is like no one else I've ever even heard of who's in this movie.
Biloxi Blues? No, because that has people that you've heard of. In it.
Does it rhyme with something? Like, how many words is it?
It's okay. The title is The Opposite of Hello and the Opposite of Boy.
Oh, The Goodbye Girl.
Goodbye.
Yes.
I've never heard of that.
Nope, me neither.
Oh, I've never seen it. Who? But somebody else wasn't that? What's her name? Yentl? Wasn't Barbara Streisand?
Streisand?
No?
If she is, she's not in
No.
the first couple of names listed
Okay.
here.
All right. Well, that was a good one. We almost had it. The Goodbye Girl. Yeah, I think he got nominated for some awards for that. So that, I guess, would make sense. Although it should have been Mr. Holland's Opus. We should have gotten it. We should have gone 4 for 4 there if there was any justice in IMDb's.
Well, you know
top
who
4.
is in this movie? An actress named Teresa Merritt, who I've never heard of. I didn't know her name before, but she is Juanita from Billy Madison.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember Juanita from Billy Madison.
I thought I was your snack pack.
That was a pretty good top 4.
Yeah,
Usually
that wasn't
That
bad.
was a little quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually
Should we do
they
another
take-
one?
All right,
for
let's
fun?
do another one.
All right, who should I do? Spielberg? Have we done him before? I think we did. Robert Shaw. I mean, I feel like he's
We could do Robert Shaw. That would be an
difficult.
interesting one. No, that's probably because he's only been in
We know 2 movies that he's.
Yeah, we know 2 movies he's been in.
All right. Well,
You get to go first.
Jaws.
Bingo.
All right. From Russia with Love.
Yep.
Okay, now it gets a little tricky. I'm gonna go with The Sting.
Wow, guys, we're
Wow.
3
Right.
for 3.
Well,
again.
those are the 3
He's
that
in The Sting?
He's the bad guy in The Sting. Those are the 3 that
Oh.
everyone knows, and they all kind of the Sting and this came out around the same time. I've got one more, but anybody else got any guesses?
No, I don't. I never
All right,
heard of this.
is it A Man for All Seasons?
Wow, nailed it.
Oh, well, he got an Oscar nomination for that, so that makes sense.
Harris boned out before coming here. But you scoured IMDb, didn't you?
Yeah. But I mean, those are the only 4 Robert Shaw movies that I think anybody knows.
What makes him prepared for each of the seasons? Does he have some sort of like growth that like helps protect him against winter weather and also insulates him for summertime?
Are you talking about fat? Are you calling him fat?
I don't know.
You know, it should have been.
What makes him a man for all seasons? What is that? What is that movie about?
I think it's
just
like
dresses appropriately. I don't know.
It's
got nice clothes. That's it.
He's playing Henry VIII, so maybe it's like a wife for all seasons or something like that.
Oh,
you know, movie should have been on Richard Dreyfuss's top 4. What About Bob?
Ooh, yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. So in the 90s, he did that, and he did Mr. Holland's Opus. Is he in a movie called Krippendorf's Tribe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is.
Him?
Yep.
God damn.
And he's also in 48 Hours and another 48 Hours with Emilio Estevez and Rosie O'Donnell.
Another Stakeout.
Oh, another Stakeout. You're right.
Yeah.
Stakeout and another Stakeout.
It's called Krippendorf's Tribe. That's
Yes.
the actual name.
Yes.
Yes. Somebody saw that name and was like, "Yeah, this will look good in a poster."
Is that similar to the Crips thing that Carl Tart?
Yeah. That's where he's an anthropologist studying the Crips.
He's also a dwarf.
That sounds like a good movie.
It's a little known gang war between the Crips and the Dwarves. It's like a Lord of the Rings comes to LA crossover.
They don't wear sneakers. They're just barefoot. Oh man.
That makes sense.
I mean, God, this movie. I mean, it's just great. What else can we say? There are a lot of iconic shots in this movie. This being one of them.
I can't believe like
This,
we're at
this you say to the listeners, this shot that we're all seeing.
They should know where we are in the movie at this point.
Well, like basically we're starting the second movie at this point. We watched the whole first movie, like the shark attacks people on the island. Now we're on the second movie. The 3 guys on the boat hunt the shark.
Yeah, 3 men on a boat. This is I like this part. It definitely is a weird place to slow the movie down. It doesn't slow down for long, but it's an odd time to kind of like, hey, pause. We're just gonna have 3 guys on a boat waiting for the shark.
Well, this is where all the porn versions of this movie really heat up. You'll have no response to that.
I'm just imagining what it could be.
It's definitely a funny idea. In my mind, it's just what's his name? Is Robert Shaw is just banging everybody, but he doesn't want either guy to know. So he's like, Brody, I need to see you in the cabin of the ship.
He keeps telling the other one to steer the ship.
Yeah, you steer the ship. Oh, you got to chum the waters. Come into the cabin and chum me waters.
Have you guys ever seen the Pam Anderson and Tommy Lee sex tape video?
I did. When I was very young, I saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, not very, very young, but when I was much younger than now, I saw it.
I feel like I must have, but I don't remember it. So
all I remember is that they're on a boat.
And he steers the boat with his penis.
He steers the boat with his penis, yeah.
That's tight.
Yeah, it's
that is in the porn version of Jaws as well.
That's the great thing about like boats in general is that the steering part is kind of irrelevant at times, because like it's just water all around you. So, just do whatever. You can go left, you can go right, whatever you want.
Colin's saying he's not impressed by this because he too has steered a boat with his schlong. Yeah, this also has the great moment. Probably the other most iconic shot of this movie, besides the dolly zoom on the beach, is where
when the shark jumps up.
Yeah, when Sheriff Brody's chumming the water, and we get our first really clear look at the shark and the size of it.
Yeah, the shark in this movie, for as much as the stories go about how the shark didn't work and how it was really troublesome to like get it to look good on camera, they do a really good job in this movie of like what bits of it that they do show looks really good, looks real. Whereas like in some of the later movies, I know that it does not look as good. You can see how fake it is. They hit it pretty well, I think.
I feel the same way. And I think it was good because it forced them to do some creative stuff. Like when the old guys are fishing on the dock and the dock gets pulled out and the guy is swimming in, but all we can see is the dock getting pulled back to shore. Mm-hmm. It's just like, that's a much more clever way of building that suspense of that scene. And also then you have the payoff of the dock floating into shore and the shark wasn't really there after all, which makes no logical sense, but is
it broke off or it like
right, but like the tide's carrying everything else out and it's carrying the dock back in at a massive rate of speed.
I still stand by what I said earlier. I think there's wasted potential here. You could eventually have, like a lot of sharks, and some of the sharks are willing to like get along with the humans, and some of the other sharks aren't. So you have like shark riders, and maybe shark versus shark, and much like the Dino Riders.
It sounds like you're pitching a young adult novel now, and which I just don't think would be a better movie. But I think where the shark does look fake in this movie is at the end when it attacks the boat and like jumps onto the boat, and then when it's it looks okay when it's eating Robert Shaw, but it's it's definitely, you can tell that it's kind of a giant puppet, which is kind of at that point I feel like they've won enough credibility that
I think the very end is the worst because the canister thing is still kind of floating around in its mouth.
Yeah. And
we're supposed to think that the canister is stuck in its mouth, and it's kind of, there's like some movement there, there's some play there to it, to where it's
I don't know what we're supposed to think then, that it's stuck in its mouth or that sharks just like have stuff in their mouths.
Is he just like flopping it around on his shark tongue? Do sharks have tongues?
I don't know.
Yeah, sharks got tongues. I don't know.
You're like mad at me. Yeah, sharks have tongues.
Here's a question.
Don't be stupid, Colin.
Here's a question. Do you think there is another great shark attack movie like yet to come out? Do you think there'll ever be something as great as this, or like
has there ever been another one besides this?
Well, there's
Sharknado.
been like Sharknado. There's the Meg.
Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Deepest, bluest. My head is like a shark's fin.
Do we feel like any of those are actually great movies though? Like is anybody going to advocate for any of those?
Deep Blue Sea is pretty good.
Yeah, I have to say I have a lot of affection for Deep Blue Sea. I think it did a lot of things right. I don't know if I'd call it a great movie, but I think that's like as close as we've come to another really good shark movie.
I was told that the ladies love that cool James guy.
He's got a tongue.
The sharks swim backwards, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that was the big innovation, as if sharks couldn't swim backwards because they weren't smart enough.
The one scene where Samuel L. Jackson gets eaten is the best.
That is awesome. LL Cool J licks his lips constantly, so if you're into that, which
that's
some people
not just
are,
that movie, though.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you get to see it because he's in the
Watch
movie.
that on In the House.
Also, LL survives the movie, which they make a joke about in the movie, and then he survives anyways. He's got the Hooper strategy of disappearing for a while and then popping up at the end and, oh, no, wait, I'm actually alive. The pretty girl does not survive the movie, which is kind of a shock because she's like the main character for most of it. Who is that? Is that Olivia, what's the British actress?
Yeah.
I can't remember her name.
Olivia Wilde?
No, Olivia something else.
Olivia Newton-John?
Olivia de Havilland?
A lot of good Olivias there, but no, I'm thinking of a different one.
Olivia Newton-John?
Let's just say it's Olivia Newton-John.
Olivia Another Day?
I'll look it up. You guys keep talking.
Yeah, okay.
I can't talk about anything else until I have the answer to this.
Her name is Saffron Burrows.
Saffron Burrows. That's totally different.
a
I was
great
not thinking
name.
of the right person.
Yeah.
Saffron Burrows?
Like the rice.
Not at all.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly like the rice.
Maybe that, like...
Was she named after the rice, or was the rice named after her?
Like
That's
maybe
the question.
maybe her birthing process was like her mother was in like a big thing of rice.
bowl.
She burrowed into a
like
pit of rice.
She has aged.
Mm-hmm. As we all
think people
have.
do that.
Yeah, I look different than when I did when Deep Blue Sea came out.
Mm-hmm.
I was 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my skin's definitely gotten worse.
I saw Saffron Burrows the one year that I went to the Sundance Film Festival.
Like in real life, you mean?
Oh, shit, I was 10.
In real life, yeah. It was the same week that I think Barack Obama was being inaugurated for the second time.
Okay.
And so no one was there. That was like the word in the second week of Sundance that like everyone left to go to the inauguration.
Wait, but you were there the second week of Sundance?
I was there in the second week.
Oh, nobody's ever there in the set. That's why everyone loves being there the second week of Sundance, because that's the week that nobody's there
anymore. It was just me and Saffron Burrows. I saw her in the
Saffron
street.
Burrows chilling out. Every screening, you're like, oh, you again.
I saw her and one other famous actress who plays like the princess in Dune, David Lynch's Dune. What's that actress's name?
That's your favorite. What's her name?
No, Sean Young's not the princess.
Not Sean Young.
Alicia Witt.
No. She's
How many more?
She's also in Sideways with Paul Giamatti. She plays like
Virginia Madsen.
Yeah,
who's
Virginia Madsen.
the princess in Dune who's barely in Dune. Yes.
Yes.
Who's the narrator in the opening shot and then disappears for the rest of the movie. Yes.
No, she comes back.
She's barely in that movie. It's ridiculous. Yeah. The second week of Sundance is where it's all like the filmmakers that get to like hang out with other filmmakers and see each other's films. The first week is the one where all the famous people are there and parties and shit.
I've never had the pleasure of going to Sundance.
Sundance.
Does anyone call it Sundance?
Sundance?
Sundance.
I'm having a wonderful time at Sundance this year.
Yeah, if you need me, I'll be at Sundance.
Sometimes we just call it the dunce.
The dunce.
Oh, here's the shot with the giant shark.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That shark is pretty good.
Yeah.
They hold it just enough,
up.
and then he has the famous line here: "We're gonna need a bigger boat."
Lord of the Dents.
We're gonna need some bigger titties. I mean, a bigger boat.
And it's also funny because I didn't realize how many times he continues to harp on the boat thing. He says it like 4 more times. Like, "Are you sure we can't get a bigger boat? Maybe we can call the Coast Guard. They can bring a bigger boat."
Okay, here's a problem though.
like
Why
talking
the
about
hell does
beating the
Robert
joke to
Shaw
death.
destroy the radio? Was that necessary?
Because he doesn't want to call for reinforcements. It's personal between him and the shark now. I think it's
That's
just
dumb.
it is
It's real dumb.
It is dumb. I mean, Robert Shaw acts more and more self-destructively as this, and which is another reason that it sort of makes sense that he should get eaten.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's the reason they're there. He like puts them in this situation, kind of. He had it coming, as they say.
But I do like. I think this is a part where the shark swims by the boat, and we get a nice overhead shot again of the shark in the water, and you see like Hooper says it's a 20-footer, and Quinn says 25, which is basically tip to tail. That's probably about the length of the boat they're on. So it's kind of like, yeah, that's a big shark.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
How the hell is Richard Dreyfuss wearing a sweatshirt in the summer?
It does look like it's hot out there, don't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I feel like people in the 70s, I'm about to make a generalization that's not true.
Another 70s generalization.
Another 70s generalization. Before they had fire, people just prepared for it when it got cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Before they had fire.
Hey.
Yeah.
It was all about cool sweaters.
I also think, it's like why did they all have tan lines in the 70s? And we don't see that as much anymore.
Because they didn't use sunscreen.
I guess that makes sense because they just had sweaters. That's how they kept
When was
the sun.
sunscreen invented?
Recently, I think.
They just used to use like
They
house,
used to use
house paint.
They used to use sweatshirts, Colin. This is
Sweatshirts,
what we're
yeah.
saying.
Right. Okay.
And this is why they look so old at such a young age because they're constantly getting scorched by the sun.
For this movie being in the 70s, there's also a severe lack of awesome sideburns in this movie, which, there's right there.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
He's pretty
Robert
much
Shaw
carrying.
makes up for it. Yeah, he's
carrying
carrying
the
a lot of the
sideburns.
sideburn game here.
Yeah, Jaws 2 makes up for that.
Mhm.
That's the late 70s. The sideburns come into it a little.
When is that coming back? Like when's the full circle on sideburns?
Sideburns? I don't. In my mind, sideburns never left.
Okay.
And I'm always down for some good sideburns.
I just wanted to know what side you were on.
Mm-hmm.
You were burning to know.
Yep.
See, it would have been good if you had. Yeah.
I guess I just gotta keep my ears pinned or something. I don't know. Fuck.
Oh, no. Oh no! You just gotta. Yeah. I think you just gotta wait until you have it, and then when you don't have it, just don't.
I guess it was a hairy situation.
Sometimes you gotta trim your jokes,
Yeah, of course.
I don't know. Should we rate this movie?
Yeah, we should
at that
probably
point?
rate this movie.
Carl, why didn't you do a pun with us?
I didn't hear you.
He was on TikTok.
I
was on TikTok looking for a job, looking to see why they wore sweatshirts in the 70s.
pretending to not hear you.
No, I really didn't. Somebody asked me about a refurbished laptop, and I had to get back to him.
I mean, that can be part of our podcast. You don't have to hide that from us, Carl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're just watching.
We're all
now
just watching the movie.
Yeah.
Come on. Oh, he hit it.
Yeah, and then the barrel gets pulled off. I actually kind of like this whole thing with the barrels. And this is another way that you don't have to show the shark if you just make the barrels represent the shark.
Oh, so here's a bit of trivia that I know. So I never read the book, but I've heard that the ending of the book is that the way the shark gets defeated is they get the 3 barrels onto it and possibly more barrels. And they just they kill it with exhaustion, basically. Like it just chases them, and
not
then
very
eventually
cinematic.
it just it's like
It tires and it surrenders.
Yeah.
Isn't that
The shark negotiates a truce and they sign a treaty.
So Spielberg came up with the ending to like blow it up, and everyone was like, "Yeah, but that's not how air tanks work." And he was like, "Whatever, I'm Steven Spielberg. Go fuck yourself."
Yeah.
What if it had gas in it? And then they don't get back.
I also think it's weird that they talk about earlier that the shark feeds, that all shark attacks are like within 10 feet of water or 10 feet of land or whatever, and the shark just feeds by going into the land and all this other shit, and yet they have to take this boat out into the deep ocean to find the shark, rather than the shark's spending a lot of time very close by. They couldn't have done this nearby.
All right, let's rate this thing. Who wants to go first? Colin?
me?
Because you take the longest.
Not every time.
My barber used to wear those shoes you got on.
Yeah, they're
Your
pretty
barber
good.
was a
Like,
homeless man?
No, those are old black uncle shoes.
Yeah. I like them a lot.
I could definitely see that.
I'm gonna try to get another pair. Like they're kind of like getting a little worn out. They're like,
What
over a
old black
year.
uncle did you buy those from? Maybe he's got another used pair you can.
He got a refurbished pair.
Yeah, exactly.
They're comfortable. They're versatile. There's a lot of good things to say about these shoes, and
Well, I think that was about it. But
Let's rate them. Let's rate the shoes.
Let's rate the
they're
shoes.
stylish.
They look like a wicker chair from the 70s.
Wicker shoes are actually quite painful
Okay, rate the movie, Colin.
and don't exist.
Not yet.
All right. Yeah, this movie's pretty good. It's got a shark. The shark eats people. It's scary. It's it's one of those classic films that is a classic. And and way to go, Steven Spielberg. You made some good films. I'll go out on a limb and say that Steven Spielberg has made some good films in his career.
Sure.
Hot take.
You're gonna get a lot of backlash from the Ron Howard mafia. Like, Spielberg's a hack. He's just stealing Ron Howard's shtick.
Apollo 13 rules.
Apollo 13
Stabbed.
Yeah. It wasn't the first time I was stabbed over Apollo 13. No. I'm just, yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. Timothy Dolphin. It's good.
Nice. That's a good score. Carl Tart?
You know what? I never watched it in full until now. I'm gonna give it 8 black people on the beach.
That was exactly how many were in this movie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think his wife is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely looks good in this. And then in the later movies, how much time went by between this and Jaws 2?
I don't
only
think she
2
looked
years.
bad in Jaws 2.
But she didn't look bad. I'm just saying
really
when
like that girl that you guys called the ugly friend, which was very mean of you.
yeah. Well, in this movie, it's a chick with the easel who I was like, oh, why weren't there more scenes with her in it?
Was that the one with the pants?
Yeah, the funky pants.
She's cool.
Anyways, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I really like this movie. I feel like this movie for me is like a staple of my childhood, and I mean, maybe I'm biased, but I think this is one of the best movies ever made. I'm pulling out the coveted 10 Timothy Dolphins.
Yikes. Okay. I wish I had watched this movie more when I was younger, because it's like a little film school in a single film. It's great visual storytelling and just brilliantly made. I think technically this is an amazing movie and the narrative is incredible. And I kind of wish I had the nostalgia for it that you do, because I think it probably is one of the greatest movies ever, and is like up there in that pantheon, but it just doesn't resonate with me like that since I've only seen it a couple of times. But I totally enjoyed it, thought it was great. We'll probably watch it again at some point. I'll give it 8 Timothy Dolphins.
I have to because I gave it 8 black people on the beach, and you played the dolphin sound. We have to mix the dolphin sound up a little bit. So you play it, and then I'm gonna add some black stuff at the end. Okay? Yeah, man.
That's good. That's good. Well, that'll cut nicely in with the.
You're cutting this episode.
Yeah. Okay.
That's great.
All right.
All right. Well, yeah, that's it.
That was
Jaws.
good. That was good. That was fun.
Carl Tart, thanks once again for being our guest.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Yeah, of course. Do you have anything that you want to plug? Anything you're working on that's coming out? Anything? This episode comes out, I want to say like the end of this month.
Oh, we should mention too. This is our first regular License to Watch episode that we've all done together in a room, right?
That's
we
true.
We did a Patreon one recently.
Yeah.
But this is our first regular episode that we've all been in the same room. So
I'm
cool.
honored. It's an honor and a
Yeah,
privilege.
it's good.
It's hotter than I remember.
I know. It's very warm in this room.
I'm glad we held hands the entire time.
Yeah, I know. That was sweet.
It made it even hotter.
Yeah.
Watch Miracle Workers on TBS this season.
Okay.
All right.
And
Is that the show with Harry Potter?
yeah.
Nice.
and-
Daniel Radcliffe is his real name.
And were you writing on that?
No, I'm an actor in this.
Oh, you're acting on that.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, yeah.
Are you in every episode?
No, just a couple of them.
Oh, okay.
Maybe even one. I don't know how many. We shot for a long time. But
Who else is in it? It's Daniel Radcliffe and
John Bass,
Steve
and
Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
and-
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It looks funny. It's the commercials are funny.
Yeah, no. It's gonna be a good time.
What is it like a funny version of like Touched by an Angel?
No, Oregon Trail.
This season is
Oregon
Oregon
Trail.
Trail. The first season it was like God based. This
Okay.
season is Oregon Trail. Yeah.
Okay.
It
Is
changes
there
up every
dysentery?
season. I'm sure there is. I can't spoil it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
There's doodles.
Okay.
do you get to work
Doodles.
with Steve Buscemi at all?
Yeah.
Is he cool?
Yeah, man, he was cool. Didn't
He's
really
a Long
say
Island
much.
guy. Cool. Well, yeah. Can people follow you on? I think you said it last time, but
No, I'm just playing. Yeah, follow me on Instagram at DammitCarl, DAMMITCARL.
Sweet. Cool. Kevin Liu, thanks for being our engineer.
Thanks, Kevin.
And then up next we've got Jaws 2. And do you guys have anything else?
I got nothing else. This is I've already said too much.
This is what happens when it's a good movie.
Yeah, we got nothing funny to say. Everyone likes the movie, and then we get to the end of the podcast, and we're just like, Also, it's just what happens when it's, 5 guys in a room, and,
And
it's
it's
like
400
fucking,
degrees.
fucking hot.
It's like a pizza oven.
It's getting late, and we just want to leave.
Yeah. All right. So how should we go out? Should we?
We should get a bigger boat. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
I hate these choreographed things where we say things together. It's funnier when we just are talking about some random shit, and then Colin says something stupid, and we all laugh at him and fade right into a song.
How about y'all say that, and I'll add some flair to the end.
Okay. So,
Add some,
Now I just have to say something stupid.
Yeah.
All right.
That should be easy.
oh yeah, I think this is good. Just whatever's popping into your mind right now. Wait, should we just do the bigger boat thing, and then you can add flair to that?
Yeah. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
I like how we just let him say it. That's great.
I said it.
Yeah,
That's what he says.
I thought he was gonna add the black guy flair like he did before.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I was gonna do. I thought y'all all were gonna say it.
I thought we were gonna say it too, but then we let Colin say it by himself, and that was so much funnier.
I don't.
Just cut those two together.
No, I'm gonna leave this all intact. Oh, that's how you end the podcast episode.
Thanks for listening, everyone. If you like this show and want to hear us talk about non-franchise movies, you should definitely check out our Patreon show at www.patreon.com/L2W. It only costs $1, and you get instant access to a ton of great episodes. There's no guests on those shows, and we tend to just kind of riff and discuss other things besides the movie. So it's a lot of fun if you like three guys bullshitting about life. We'd like to give a special thanks to our guest, Carl Tart, for joining us in person for this episode, and a special thanks to our boy, C-Rock, for creating the Jaws remix beat during Colin's 2-minute summary. You can hear more from C-Rock by searching his real name, Chris Morocco, on bandcamp.com. We'd also like to give one final special thanks to Max Surwitz, aka Suburb, for banging out the beat you're listening to right now. You can find more music by Suburb at fanlink.to/suburb, and that's spelled the word suburb, but swap out the U's for V's, so it says SVBVRB. So that's fanlink.to/SVBVRB. All right, that's the end. We'll see you next time for Jaws Dose.